A warm welcome to our exciting English class. Hello, students. This is Sister Flavia Fernandez, and today I will be conducting an interesting English lesson in this video. Now, I will show you few videos. Please watch them very carefully. Well, students, can you guess the name of the story depicted in this video? I'm sure while watching the video, you were thinking of Ramayana. That's right, okay? The story was related to Ramayana. Students, now please watch the second video very carefully. Students, which story came to your mind while watching the second video? I am sure you were thinking of Mahabharata. That's right, the answer is Mahabharata. Students, We shall now watch the third video. Dear students, while watching this video, which story came to your mind? I am sure you must have remembered about the great story of the city of Troy, written by Homer in Iliad and Odyssey. So today, I have shown you 3 videos, namely about Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Iliad and Odyssey. What is the special name given for these stories? Any guesses? Right, they are known as epics. So Ramayana, Mahabharata, Iliad and Odyssey are known as the epics. So today we shall study about the famous Western epic literature, Iliad and Odyssey, in a new English lesson, that is the fall of Troy. The objective of the lesson. In this lesson, dear students, we shall be learning about the meaning of epics, the story of Troy, and the new vocabulary words. Students, we shall now proceed with the lesson. I will first read out the paragraph to you. Please listen carefully to my pronunciations, dictions, and intonations. Here I go. Epics are long poems that relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. They often tell of a nation's early history. They may be composed and sung or recited for many years before they are actually written down. Now, I will give you a few seconds. Please read the paragraph silently. We shall now move on. I move on with the second paragraph. Once again, dear students, please listen to me very carefully. The two famous Sanskrit epics are the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and the two great epics of European literature written in ancient Greek are the Iliad and the Odyssey. Just as in Indian literature, we go back to stories from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So in the literature of Western countries, they go back to the Iliad and the Odyssey. Just as children all over India know the names of stories of Ram and Sita, Yudhishthira and Arjuna and Draupadi, so children in Western countries know the names of Hector and Odysseus and Achilles and Helen of Troy. the most beautiful woman in the world, because of whom the Greek and Trojans fought for 10 long years. Students, it's your turn to read this paragraph silently. We shall now move on. The objective question. Name the two famous Sanskrit epics. Think about the answer. Did you get the answer? Fine. I will tell you the answer now. The answer is the two famous Sanskrit epics are Ramayana and the Mahabharata. In the first paragraph, we saw how epics are long poems that relate the deeds of a great national hero or a great national war. In the second paragraph, we saw that the two famous Sanskrit epics are the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and the European ancient Greek epics are the Iliad and the Odyssey. So, dear students, you see how literature is so useful to know the nation's early history. It is very important to respect the writings of the authors and poets. And for you as students, you must show great interest in reading good literature books. In the future, you too can strive to be a famous author or a poet. The new vocabulary word which we've encountered in the second paragraph was the ancient. What is the meaning of ancient? I will tell you. Ancient means belonging to the very distant past. I will now make a sentence for you. I enjoy studying the ancient history. It's your turn. I will give you a few seconds. Quickly think of a new sentence and write it in your book using the word ancient. Hope you wrote the sentence in your book, and so we proceed. Students, I now move on with the third and the fourth paragraph. Once again, please listen to me very carefully. Nobody knows for certain who the author of these early epics is. It is thought that they arose and developed with the nation itself and were handed down from singer to singer till perhaps one great poet gave them their final form. It is believed that the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed and recited by a blind poet named Homer, who lived about 900 BCE and who wandered from one Greek city or village to another, singing his poems to all who would receive him in their homes and give him hospitality. This wandering singer has been honored through the ages, not only in Greece but in all Europe as the father of European poetry. Students, it's your turn to read these two paragraphs silently. Fine, we move on. The new vocabulary words which we've encountered in these two paragraphs are wanted. Second, hospitality. The meaning of wanted is walk aimlessly. I will make a sentence for you to understand this word wandered properly. The cows wandered in the forest. It's your turn to make a sentence and quickly write it in your book. I'm sure you wrote the sentence in your book, and so we move on. The second vocabulary word is hospitality. Do you know the meaning of hospitality? I will tell you. It means the friendly reception of guests. I will make a sentence for you. The people of Pune are hospitable. It's your turn to make a sentence. I'm sure you wrote the sentence in your book, and so we proceed. Students, I will now read for you the fifth paragraph. Once again, please listen to me very attentively. The Iliad is the story of Ilium or Troy, a rich trading city in Asia Minor near the narrow sea that leads from the Aegean to the Black Sea. It was well situated both for commerce and agriculture. In front of the city was the sea over which sailed the ships of Troy, carrying goods and grain. At the back rose the high peak of Mount Ida, from which flowed many rivers and streams. The valleys among the hills were well watered and fertile, with corn growing in fertile fields and cattle feeding on the rich grass of the meadows, while sheep fed on the slopes of the hills. Students, it's your turn now to read this paragraph silently. Fine. The new vocabulary word which we've encountered in this paragraph is meadows. What is the meaning of meadows? It means a piece of grassland. My sentence for you. The sheep is grazing in the meadow. It's your turn to make a sentence and quickly write it in your book. Let's continue. Students, in the third paragraph we saw that the early writings were passed on from singer to singer. In this paragraph we've learned that the people tried to preserve the early compositions of the poets. It is important to preserve the early literature which can inspire us. In the fourth paragraph we saw that the Iliad and Odyssey were composed by the blind poet named Homer. Homer went about singing his poems from village to village, and he experienced the hospitality from the people. The value of hospitality is very important in life. Always be nice and generous towards all those whom you meet daily. In the fifth paragraph we saw that the city of Troy was surrounded with nature. Example, river, valley, sea, meadows, etc. The people of Troy took care of nature. In these times, we have a responsibility to take care of nature and support our Mother Earth. Students, we shall now see a small clipping. What did you see in this clipping? I'm sure you saw a huge wall in this clipping. This was the wall that protected the city of Troy. We shall now see why did the people of Troy build this wall. Students, we shall now listen to the 6th paragraph. Pay good attention. Round their city, the Trojans had built a strong wall so that no enemy should attack them from the sea. The wall was so broad that people could stand and sit and walk on it. The great gates stood open and people could go to the seashore outside and come in as they pleased. But in time of war, the gates would be closed, and then the city was like a strong fortress, quite safe from all attack, protected by the walls surrounding it as well as by the hills behind. Students, it's your turn to read this paragraph silently. Fine. The new vocabulary word which we've encountered in this paragraph is fortress. Let us learn now the meaning of fortress. It means secured and strong place. My sentence. The fortress was stormed by hundreds of soldiers. It's your turn to make a sentence and quickly write it in your book. Fine. Let us proceed. Students, listen to me once again as I read for you the 7th paragraph. Pay good attention. Thus, a strong city, strongly protected by its walls and strongly defended by its brave soldiers. But all the kings and heroes of Greece had declared war against the Trojans because Paris, a prince of Troy, had persuaded Helen, wife of a Greek king Menelaus, to elope with him. He had brought her to Troy. The Greeks wanted to take revenge on Troy for the wrong done to Menelaus. They sailed to Troy and laid siege to the city. The Trojans, too, fought hard, and the siege continued for 10 long years. Students, it's your turn now to read this paragraph silently. Fine, we move on. The new vocabulary words which we've encountered in this paragraph are persuaded, elope, and the last one is siege. We shall now look at the meaning of persuade, which means make someone agree to something. My sentence: the manager persuaded the staff to work as a team. It's your turn to make a sentence and quickly write it in your book. I'm sure you wrote a new sentence in your book, and so we continue. The next word is elope, which means run away secretly in order to get married. I will make a sentence for you. John eloped with his girlfriend. It's your turn to make a sentence. I'm sure you wrote the sentence in your book, and so we continue. The third vocabulary word is siege, which means the act or process of surrounding and attacking a fortified place. My sentence: the Indian military seized the Kashmir border. Now you try to frame a new sentence and quickly write it in your book. Let us continue. In the 6th paragraph, we saw that the Trojans used their skills and intelligence to build a huge wall to protect themselves from the enemies. You, as students, must use your intelligence and develop your skills to be more productive in the future. In the 7th paragraph, we saw that the Prince of Troy had eloped with the Queen of Greece, which caused enmity and hatred between the Troys and the Greeks. The wrong action of the prince led to war. We must always remember to take good decisions in life and follow the right path. Let us move on with the 8th paragraph. Once again, listen to me attentively as I read this paragraph for you. The fighting went on daily, but the siege did not end. On the one hand, the Greeks could not take the city, and on the other hand, the Trojans could not force them to sail away. Every day the Trojans came out of their gates, and the Greeks came out of their tents and ships, and the fighting went on. Sometimes there were great battles between the two armies. Sometimes there were single fights between two great heroes. Sometimes the Trojans had the better of it, and sometimes the Greeks, but still the fighting went on. Students, now you take time in reading this paragraph silently. Let us continue. The 8th paragraph. Once again, keep your mind focused on my reading. Great heroes on both sides were killed in the course of the war. After leading the defense of his city for 9 years, the brave Hector was at last killed by Achilles, whom none could resist. But Achilles himself was killed later on by a poisoned arrow that entered his heel, the only part of his body where he could be wounded. Still later, Paris himself was killed also by a poisoned arrow. The Trojans were tired of being shut up in their city, and the Greeks were longing to see their homes again, but still the fighting went on. Students, it's your turn to read this paragraph silently. Let's continue. The new vocabulary word which we've encountered in this paragraph is resist. The meaning of resist is to withstand the action or effect of. My sentence: I couldn't resist the chocolate cake. It's your turn to make a sentence on the word resist. I'm sure, students, you wrote the sentence in your book, and so we continue. In the 8th and the 9th paragraphs, we saw that the Trojans and Greeks fought many wars. Great heroes on both the sides were killed because of hatred, unforgiveness. They did not forgive each other. Many times, we also fail to forgive those who hurt us. Unforgiveness leads to hatred. We must be the first ones to say sorry or apologize when we hurt others and forgive others when they do wrong to us. In this way, we can make peace with ourselves and with the others. So, dear students, today we have learned an interesting lesson, that is the fall of Troy. It's testing time. Dear students, down below I have given you the link of the Google form. Please go to this link and complete the exercises given in this Google form and submit the form at your earliest. I thank you so much for your cooperation. We cannot miss the homework, and the homework for this lesson is, with the help of the internet, find out about the other most important epics of India. Thank you, students, for wholeheartedly participating in this lesson. I truly appreciate your cooperation. Thank you very much.